Hey guys, welcome back to the next video in Invincible. As you can see, we left off where Angstrom met his other selves from the multiverse, and we're going to start off with issue 17. Alright, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Looks like we see Mark and Amber leaving the movies. Looks like they're finally able to spend some time together. Mark starts off by saying, "I liked it." Amber responds, "I thought it was okay." Geez, when are they going to be done with all this construction? They've been working around the clock for weeks, and it seems like they haven't even scratched the surface. Mark says it's going to be a while before things are back to normal. Those aliens did a lot of damage. And what do you mean, okay? That movie was great. Amber says it had good character development and the plot was okay, but the ending was awful. It just kind of ended. I thought we were missing 20 minutes of the movie or something. My car is parked this way. Mark says, "You want to get some milkshakes before we call it a night? I think Shake Deluxe is still open. Why don't we just go to Burger Mart? We know they're still open, and I think they're cheaper than Shake Deluxe." Mark says, No Burger Mart. I've had a bad experience with that place. I'm buying. We're going to Shake Deluxe. Okay, either is fine by me. Mark says, as they get into the car, into Amber's car, Mark says, "You really thought the ending sucked? Geez, Mark, you act like you made the movie." Later, at Shake Deluxe, Amber says, "So, what was your experience at Burger Mart?" "Oh, nothing. The manager is a huge jerk. It's just uncomfortable to go in there. You know, I worked there for 5 months." "No, I didn't know that. Mark Grayson, burger flipper. I'm sorry I missed those days. I bet you looked mega cute in that bright orange uniform." "That's a safe bet. That is, if by cute you mean ruggedly handsome." "No, I meant cute. You've got to be able to grow facial hair to be ruggedly handsome. You ready?" "I'm hurt." Mark says, "I can grow facial hair. Just because I shave doesn't mean I can't grow it. I could have a pretty smoking mustache." "Ugh, no thanks." Later that night, looks like they arrive at Mark's house. Amber says, "You know, I don't know how you get by without a car." Mark says, "I manage. Do you want to come inside?" "Now, Mark, don't get any ideas. Not to worry, stance on that issue is firmly grasped. Besides, my mom is home. I meant just to talk, hang out a little more. Sure, I'd love to. I'm on a horrible sleep schedule anyway. I've really been spoiling myself with all the missed school. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get up tomorrow. I hear you. Shh. The lights are out. She might be asleep. Stay here as they get inside. Stay here. Let me see where she's at. He goes into the living room to see her passed out on the couch. So sleep on the couch with empty drinks nearby. And Mark says, maybe we should stay outside. Why? Amber says, is everything okay? Yeah. My mom's asleep on the couch. I was afraid we'd wake her. She's been having trouble sleeping. Oh. Come on. We can sit in the backyard. As they get to the backyard, Amber says, so, you ready for school tomorrow? I'm ready. I'm not looking forward to it in any way. It sucks. I mean, we had 2 weeks to go, and then we were out of there. Now we got to make that time up after a 5-week break before we can graduate. Stupid aliens. I did get caught up on all the work I missed when my dad died. So I guess some good came out of it. Yeah. Amber says, Mark, look at me. What? He says. And then the two kiss. And later on that night, Mark walks Amber out to her car. Mark says, you don't really have to leave, do you? It's not that late. Amber says, there's only so many things. What we were doing can lead to. So I think it's best if we call it a night. That's not where I was planning to go. Who's got the dirty mind now? Huh? Guilty as charged, Amber says. Regardless, I have to get up tomorrow. With school and all. See you tomorrow. She gets in a car and drives away. Mark says to himself, who ever heard of school in July? Stupid aliens. Over at prison, we see a guard coming past, doing his rounds, and coming past the cell containing the Muller twins. And the officer says, Warden will be by in an hour or so. I don't want to hear no trouble from this wing, so keep it down. Just then, a portal opens up and Angstrom comes out, talking to the twins. You heard the man. Let's keep this quiet. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Angstrom Levy, and I'd like to offer you a way out of this place, if you'll agree to assist me. I'll explain the details once we're on our way. The Muller twins look on and don't say anything. You coming? I can't keep this thing open forever. I know what you're probably thinking, and I assure you, I mean you no harm. You need to make a decision though. And the twins decide to go with him and exit through the portal. And Angstrom says, "You've made a wise choice." On the other side of the portal is a ruined city. And one of the twins says, I'm going to say twin number one says, "Is this some kind of teleportation?" Twin number two says, "My God, we heard of the invasion while we were incarcerated, but we had no idea the damage was this severe." Angstrom responds saying, "Oh, this isn't from the invasion. This is from a nuclear war. At some point, shortly after the technology for nuclear weapons was discovered, there was an accident resulting in the destruction of the eastern half of the North American continent. Don't worry, the radiation here is far below acceptable levels. But before you go disputing these facts, I'd like to point out this is a different dimension. So to answer your question, no, this isn't teleportation. Teleportation involves far less walking. Follow me. One setback to my powers is that I can only shift through dimensions. I remain in the same place when I shift. Another setback is that I only possess limited knowledge of the other dimensions I can travel to. Otherwise, I could have shifted us to a dimension with a train station where your prison was in our dimension. That particular setback is the one I think you two can help me with. What's in it for us?" Twin number two says, "I had assumed your freedom would be enough, but I can always threaten to leave you in this dimension if you need added incentive." Twin number two says, "Point taken." Twin number one says, "Our services are yours." Angstrom says, "Good. Now, if I'm not mistaken, yes, this is where I parked the van. This way, boys," as Angstrom opens a portal. They step through the portal into another dimension, and Angstrom says, "See, back home, safe and sound. I hope I brought a large enough vehicle. We've got quite a drive ahead of us." "We'll manage," one of the twins says. "What is it you expect us to do?" Angstrom says, "I'll explain everything as soon as we get back to my lab." Back at Mark's school, one of his professors or teachers is saying, "Welcome back, everyone. I'm sure you're all pleased as punch to be back in school to finish out these last 2 weeks after that nice 5-week break. There's a small matter of a final exam that we need to make up, and I'm sure you're all worried that you've already forgotten the material. Well, never fear. It's July. We just survived an alien invasion, and I doubt most of you seniors were planning on paying much attention in these last 2 weeks anyway. So screw it. We're watching movies. Today's movie will be Ridley Scott's Gladiator with Russell Crowe. For extra credit, write down 5 historical inaccuracies. Only 5. Feel free to list more. but that's completely optional. Can someone get the lights? Mark looks back at Amber and says, I had a really good time last night. She says, me too. And he looks back, smiling. After class, Mark says to Amber, well, if that's how all the classes are going to be, this isn't going to be half bad. Agreed, Amber says. Not the movie I would have picked, but it's much better than taking notes and getting ready for a final. Not a bad way to finish out high school, especially now that college is only a few weeks away. Just then, William and Eve walk over, and William says, Mark, dude, you are not going to believe what we just did in chemistry. Watch the movie? Mark says. Yeah, dude, how'd you know? That's what we did. This is so cool, William says, and Eve just looks annoyed with his response. Later, at Mark's house, Mark comes home and Debbie is sitting at the table, and Debbie says, big day today, huh? Yeah, finally. Oh, it's not that bad. You got the 5 weeks off, then you had 2 weeks of watching movies, from what I've heard, and now you're graduating. So this is two weeks later. Mark says, yeah, and after I graduate today, I've got 2 weeks to prepare for my first day of classes at Upstate University. I'm a nervous wreck. Debbie says, it's not that hard. You take the diploma, shake his hand, and walk off the stage. You'll do fine. Mark says, it's not graduating. That's bugging me. That's over. That's done. I know that happens today no matter what. I'm worried about college, new school, new environment, and I know I would have had trouble graduating if I hadn't gotten those 5 weeks to catch up. With everything Cecil got me doing, I don't know if I have time for college. And just then, Mark's beeper goes off. Speak of the devil. I wish you wouldn't eat so fast. That can't be good for you. I'm needed in New York, Mark says. I hope I can get back in time for grad. He stops mid-sentence as he goes to throw his trash away, and when he looks in the trash can, he sees empty alcohol bottles, and he looks over at his mother. His mother says, what? Art was over visiting last night. We were talking. We had a few drinks. It's not illegal. Mark just keeps glaring at her. I am the parent here, Mark. You're not allowed to look at me like that way. And he kisses her on the cheek and says, I gotta go. Goodbye, son. Later, as Invincible is flying to where he's needed, he talks on an earpiece with Cecil and asks, so, what have we got? Nothing major. We've got a supervillain in Manhattan tearing stuff apart. A Capes crew is already on the scene, but with the repairs being done after the invasion, I thought I'd call you in to keep the damage to a minimum. Then I guess I'll have to make this quick, Invincible says, as he flies into the scene, and the supervillain punches the heroes on scene, punches away the heroes on scene and Invincible, and they crash into the nearby cop cars. One of the heroes says, Invincible, right? The name's Bolt. I saw you and your dad on TV. Tough break, kiddo. Good to see you're on the side of the angels. Thanks. What's the story here? Who is this guy? Bolt says, that's Thomas Winters. A lab accident caused his wife, Holly, to become immortal. After years of dealing with it, he decided to try and duplicate the experiment so that they could live together forever. But something went wrong. His cells regenerate, but at such a rapid level that it's affected his thought processes and behavior. Now he's super strong, indestructible, and he kills any man that so much as looks at Holly. Why is he beating on that guy? Doesn't he work at Capes? Yeah, Commander Capitalism has been dating Holly for about 2 months. Oh, okay then. Well, let's stop this guy before he kills him. That's the plan. Holly, mine. Thomas says, Holly, mine. Mine. The heroes struggle. They fight. Invincible grabs him from behind and says, does this guy need to breathe? How long do you think he can hold his breath? What? Why? Just then, Invincible carries him into space and says, never mind. Thomas knocks Invincible away, but realizes he can't breathe and begins to pass out. Invincible carries him down back into the earth. And as he's carrying him back down, Bolt is doing crowd control, saying, nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Move along. The show's over. He turns to see Invincible and says, great job, kid. Sometimes I don't know what we superheroes would do without space. Invincible says, I hear you. So you guys are the corporate superheroes, huh? The 9-to-5ers, right? I can never remember if that's Capes or Megaforce. Bolt says, Megaforce. No, that's us. We're not so strictly 9 to 5 though. We're not exactly punching out and going home in the middle of a fight. Oh, got a shiner there, huh? That's gotta be rough on the old secret identity. And we see that Thomas is getting back up. Oh crap, I don't usually get black eyes or bruises on account of being invincible and all. So it's not just a clever name. And Thomas gets hit from behind. And the other hero on scene says, all clear, you guys. And they both look on and say, cool. I believe this guy's name was Captain Capitalism, or it was a joke, but he is on a stretcher says to Invincible, "You did good out there, kid. If you ever want health care and overtime pay for what you're already doing, give us a call." Invincible says, "I'll keep that in mind." Just then, I'm assuming Holly runs over saying, "Oh, Philip, baby, are you okay?" "It's not as bad as it looks, Holly. Your ex ain't so tough. You go wait in the ambulance, honey. You can ride with me to the hospital. I like to watch her coming, but I love to watch her walk away. So fine and all mine. Yeah, but is it worth all this?" Bolt says. "Is it worth it for a chick that smoking hot who's guaranteed to never age a day? You bet." Invincible says, "Crap, what time is it?" Over at their graduation, it looks like Mark makes it just in time. And Principal is giving his speech. "And that is why I've decided to make this my final year as principal of Reginald Vell Johnson High. It has been a joy to watch all of you grow and mature during your 4 years with me. I am so proud to see so many of you here today, ready to go out into the world as adults. It warms my heart to usher you into adulthood, and while I will miss it, the time was right for me to move on. And speaking of moving on, I promised I would make this a short speech. And I've now been talking for almost a half hour. Good Lord. Let's get on with the graduation ceremony, shall we?" As Mark works his way over to the seats. "Excuse me. Sorry I'm late. What did I miss?" William says, "Apparently Winslow is retiring. It's a shame he couldn't have done it a year or 4 earlier." "Nah, man. Winslow was strict, but I liked him. What happened to your eye?" Amber says, I got mugged." Principal Winslow begins naming all of the graduates: Chadwick Thomas Anderson, Amber Justine Bennett, William Francis Clockwell, Samantha Eve Wilkins, Marcus Sebastian Grayson. I think Chadwick Thomas Anderson might be the 4th friend that I didn't know. Mark walks over, grabs his diploma, and then William looks back and says, Sebastian? Should look at him and be like, "Francis." And with that, Mark, everyone, has graduated, and they do the ceremonial hat toss, and Mark throws his way too hard and goes flying into the atmosphere, and he just looks saying, "Oh crap." Luckily, it doesn't look like anyone notices because they're all picking up their hats. Alright, I'm going to stop there, you guys. Make sure you like the videos and leave a comment. It really helps the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.